Hey guys, Murphy's Opinions here, and today I'm coming out with my review of The Man with the Golden Gun, made in 1974, directed by Guy Hamilton. So the plot sees Scaramanga, the man with the golden gun, sends a golden bullet to MI6 headquarters, saying that James Bond is his next target. So M relieves Bond of his duties till the danger has been neutralised, but Bond goes out to find Scaramanga himself. However, what he finds out is that Scaramanga is trying to work on a device that basically so he can harness the sun's energy, called a Solex agitator. So now let's get on to the cast of the film and what I think of that. So my opinions on the casting of this film, it's quite mixed really. So let's just kind of just dive right into it really. I think so Roger Moore once again plays James Bond, and for me, with Live and Let Die, it was kind of one step forward. But in The Man with the Golden Gun, it feels kind of like two steps backwards, really. It's a bit of an awkward one here for Roger Moore, I think. They tried to make... It seemed like they were kind of saying... it's kind of like they wanted him to be more like, Sean Connery. So they try and make him more, like he does stuff like he hits women and stuff like that. And he's just more of a dick in this film. And he's really just verges upon unlikable. And there's no real reason for it. It's not like in films like License to Kill, where you kind of understand why Bond's a bit pissed off a lot of the time. But in this one, he's just a dick for no reason. And he's, especially towards the female characters, which I don't really understand. It's definitely one of the worst Bond performances as James Bond. And I'd say Roger Moore's weakest, easily. I think he's just not very good here. But fortunately for Roger Moore, he would get much better. As for the villain, Francisco Scaramanga, played by Christopher Lee, easily one of the best villains in the entire series. He might actually be my favourite. I'd have to really think about that though, but he's just such an awesome villain. He's, once again, an equal to Bond. He's such an interesting and complex character. He's just such a kind of joy to... Christopher Lee is just such a joy to watch in any film he's in, whether it's even in the Star Wars prequels, which I thought were pretty terrible for the most part. Apart from Episode 3, that was pretty decent, but he was good in Attack of the Clones. He's just an actor who always delivers in whatever he's in, no matter what the source material, and he's great in The Man with the Golden Gun. Easily my favourite thing about this film. So let's get on to the Bond girl, Mary Goodnight, played by Britt Eklund. And again, I think she's one of the weakest Bond girls in the entire series. She's not interesting. She just doesn't do anything right. Like, she doesn't help Bond really at all. Whereas I think with a Bond girl, like when it comes to a Bond girl, I think they need to fill some sort of criteria. Like, they need to be either interesting, have good chemistry with Bond, be able to fight for themselves, or just have some sort of link to the plot. But she just doesn't really fit any of those for me. She just doesn't. She's just kind of there just because they needed an attractive actress to, play a Bond girl. She's just not that interesting in my eyes. Definitely one of the weakest ones. I'd argue maybe the second worst in the entire series. But I'd really have to think about that again. But just kind of talking about it now, she definitely comes to mind as one of the worst Bond girls in the series. And then we've got Andrea Anders, played by Maud Adams, who is basically Scaramanga's mistress. I think Maud Adams plays her really well here. It's just quite sad to see how she's treated by Bond in this film. She's obviously quite sad and lonely, and she just wants to be free from this kind of relationship with Scaramanga, but Bond just kind of dicks her about, really. And I think because she plays such a sympathetic character and she gets hit about by Bond, it just makes Bond look like a massive dick, really. And the scene where she dies is actually really kind of chilling, actually, and sad. So I definitely think Maud Adams does great here, and she would perform another great character later on down the line in the series, which we'll get to later on. But we've got Nick Nack, played by Hervé Villachet. Definitely one of my favourite henchmen in the series. He's just so fun and memorable, and he despite being obviously a midget, he can fight for himself, which I think is pretty cool actually. He gives Bond a bit of a test in towards the end of the film. Obviously he doesn't defeat Bond in a fight, but he does well for himself, and I like Nick Nack. I think he's a lot of fun. One of the more memorable Bond henchmen in my eyes. I'd probably put him in the top 10. We see the return once again of Sheriff J.W. Pepper, played by Clifton James. I definitely say he's, again, once again, I don't hate Sheriff J.W. Pepper in this film, but he's definitely more annoying than he was in Live and Let Die. And in this film, he kind of feels forced. Like, there's no real need for him to be in this film. They just thought, how can we... It's kind of like they were, okay, how can we have Sheriff J.W. Pepper in this film again? Whereas at least with Live and Let Die, they had the, like, you know, they got the police force involved, so that kind of got him into the film. Whereas with this, it's just sort of, right, how can we put him in the film? And it's just a bit stupid, really. Again, you know, Sheriff J.W. Pepper's not awful in this film, but I just don't think... he's definitely more annoying than he is in Live and Let Die. So obviously you've got the Mi6 Regulars, you've got M, played by Bernard Lee, who you can definitely tell he's, you know, a lot more pissed off in this film, which I actually don't mind, kind of M being a bit more, you know, pissed off in certain films, because if M just acted the same way in every film, it would just get a bit boring, really. So I like they kind of spice it up a bit, in the sense of, you know, oh, you know, he's... Because it's just better, like, it kind of makes sense as well here. So it's fine. I think M's great once again. Q as well. He's not in the film that much, but he's fine. He does, you know, for the screen time he gets, he does a good job. Moneypenny again. One thing I always found though is Lois Maxwell and Roger Moore's chemistry was never as good as, say, Connery and Maxwell, or Brosnan and Samantha Bond. It was just sort of, I don't know, it just fell flat in my opinion. So that's kind of my thoughts on that, really. Yeah, so let's get on to kind of the score of the film. John Barry returns to do the score of the film once again, and for the most part it's a good score once again. Again, I think it's one of his strongest. I think it was good that we got a break in Live and Let Die and we got someone else to kind of have a go, but Barry returns with another good score here. You know, a lot of people give shtick to the main title song, The Man with the Golden Gun. I think it's fine. I don't think it's, like, you know, top 10 material, but it's fine for what it is. And people complain about the lyrics, but there are quite a few Bond themes that are like that. Like, listen to something like Moonraker, and you'll realise that, you know, there are, you know, it's not just The Man with the Golden Gun that is like that. But yeah, all round, I'd probably say the score for this film is very good. Actually, definitely one of the strong points here. Some of the scenes that really stand out for me in this film, the car flip I think is awesome, but obviously they have to ruin it with that stupid slide whistle. I don't know why they did it. I'll never understand why John Barry thought that was a good idea. I know he regrets it, which, you know, is fair cop, but it's just one of the stupidest things, you know, in Bond, in my opinion. It just ruins a awesome stunt, really. The opening title sequence as well, I think, is a lot of fun. Like, it doesn't have Bond in it, which I know a lot of people get annoyed about, saying, oh, it doesn't have Bond, you know. I wouldn't say it's, like, in my top 10, but it's definitely one of those opening title sequences that, despite not having Bond, is very good. Like, there's a lot of suspension. It's so tense. So, you know, because basically what it is this assassin, you think is being paid by Nick Nack to kill Scaramanga, and then they enter Scaramanga's funhouse, and he's trying to kill Scaramanga, and all these different things keep popping up and stuff. He appears in a mirror, and it's really awesome, and then Scaramanga actually kills the guy, and it's just such a tense scene. It's really well done, actually. One of my favourite scenes in the film, actually. And then you've obviously got the fight between, like, Bond and Scaramanga, and we once again go into the funhouse again, where Bond actually kills Scaramanga. And again, that's a really great scene. I think that's another one of my favourite scenes in the film. So overall, The Man with the Golden Gun, it's a very mixed bag. You know, you've got some great stuff in the film, such as Christopher Lee as Scaramanga, one of the best Bond villains, a fun henchman in Nick Nack, a solid John Barry score, but ultimately, you know, James Bond is portrayed pretty awkwardly by Roger Moore. Mary Goodnight is just not very interesting at all. You know, some silly scenes with Sheriff J.W. Pepper, and a car flip ruined by a stupid slide whistle. So basically, when it comes to The Man with the Golden Gun, it's definitely not one of my favourites. I would say it's definitely on the lower end, but I wouldn't say it's a film that I hate, because there are some genuinely good stuff about this film. However, I will say I would have preferred it if the plot kind of focused just on Bond, you know, trying to find out why Scaramanga wants to kill him and the whole thing. I don't really care about the Solex agitator. I just find that a bit boring, really. But for what it is, this film is pretty mixed overall. So thanks for watching, guys. Give the video a like. Follow me on Twitter and Ask.fm. My next review will be of The Spy Who Loved Me. Once again, thanks for watching, guys.